His blind date cancelled at the last minute. But across the café, he saw a mother silently crying while trying to feed her hungry child. He had no idea that one decision, to stay, would change 3 lives forever. The café smelled like burnt coffee and disappointment, and he had been sitting there for almost 20 minutes longer than he should have. His phone lay face up on the small wooden table, silent, accusing him with its dark screen. The message was still there, unread, but clear enough. "I'm so sorry. Something came up. I can't make it." That was it. No explanation. No apology beyond those flat words. Just another reminder that his life seemed to exist in the space between plans that never happened. He exhaled slowly and pushed the chair back with his foot. He could leave. He should leave. There was nothing left to wait for. Outside, evening rain had started falling, the kind that blurred streetlights and turned the world into a smear of reflections. He hesitated at the door, hand resting on the handle, when he heard it. A child's cry. Not the sharp, dramatic cry of a tantrum, but the exhausted sound of hunger mixed with confusion. The kind that tightened something in his chest before his mind could catch up. He turned his head. Near the corner window, a young woman sat hunched over a small table meant for one person. A baby, maybe a year old, was pressed against her chest, tiny fists clutching her jacket. The woman's shoulders shook as she whispered something he couldn't hear, her face angled down so the tears fell into her lap instead of onto the child. She was trying to feed him. A bottle sat on the table, empty. Beside it, a cup of warm water and a folded napkin. No food. No formula. Just desperation wrapped in quiet dignity. He told himself it wasn't his business. He grabbed his jacket, took one step toward the door, then stopped. The baby cried again, louder this time, and the woman closed her eyes as if bracing for a blow. Something inside him shifted. He turned back. "Hey," he said softly, approaching slowly so he wouldn't scare her. "I'm sorry, I don't mean to intrude." She looked up, startled, eyes red and rimmed with exhaustion. For a second, fear flashed across her face, the instinctive reaction of someone who'd learned not to expect kindness. "It's okay," she said quickly, pulling the baby closer. "We're leaving. You don't have to," he replied. He gestured vaguely toward the empty bottle. "Is he hungry?" Her lips trembled despite her effort to keep them steady. "Yes." He nodded once, like the answer confirmed something he already knew. "Can I help?" "No," she said immediately, then hesitated. Pride battled necessity in her expression. "I mean, I don't want to be a problem." "You're not," he said. "I had a date that didn't show up. This coffee's already ruined my evening. Helping you might actually save it." That earned him the faintest, most tired smile. She didn't answer, but she didn't refuse either. He flagged down the waitress and ordered formula, food, anything they had suitable for a child, plus something warm for the woman. When the waitress walked away, the woman finally spoke. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," he replied. "That's why I wanted to." Silence settled between them, not awkward, just heavy with unspoken things. The baby's cries softened into small hiccuping sounds as the woman rocked him gently. "My name's Daniel," he said after a moment. "Emma," she replied. "And this is Noah." Daniel nodded at the baby, who stared back with wide, curious eyes as if trying to decide whether this stranger belonged in his small, uncertain world. "How old is he?" Daniel asked. 14 months, Emma said. "He usually eats better than this. Today just didn't go as planned." He understood that more than he wanted to admit. When the food arrived, Emma fed Noah slowly, her hands shaking slightly. The baby calmed almost immediately, his cries fading into contented noises that made her shoulders sag with relief. Tears slipped down her cheeks again, this time silent. "I'm sorry," she whispered, embarrassed. "I don't usually cry in public." "It's okay," Daniel said. "Public places need more honesty anyway." She laughed softly through her tears, and something warm spread through his chest. They talked then, carefully at first. Emma told him she was a single mother, recently moved to the city after leaving a situation she didn't like to think about. Daniel didn't push. He told her about his job, his cancelled date, how he'd thought tonight might finally be different. Guess we were both stood up by life, Emma said. Seems that way, he replied. Outside, the rain slowed to a gentle drizzle, the kind that felt less like punishment and more like forgiveness. When they finally stood to leave, Emma hesitated. I don't know how to thank you, she said. You don't have to, Daniel replied. Then, after a pause, but if you'd like, maybe we could get coffee again sometime. All three of us. No blind dates involved. She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time that evening, hope flickered in her eyes. I'd like that, she said. As they stepped out into the damp evening, Daniel realized his cancelled date hadn't ruined his night at all. It had quietly redirected it. And he had no idea yet that this moment, this crying child, this exhausted mother, this simple act of kindness, was about to change his life in ways he wasn't ready for. They met again 3 days later. Daniel arrived early, mostly out of habit, but also because he didn't trust good things not to disappear if he looked away for too long. The same café, different table. Sunlight replaced rain, pouring through the windows like the city was trying to apologize. Emma came in carrying Noah, her hair pulled back messily, eyes still tired but brighter than before. Noah recognized Daniel instantly and kicked his legs, babbling something that sounded like excitement. That small reaction did something unexpected to Daniel. It made him feel chosen. Looks like you're already his favorite person, Emma said, smiling. I'll take that win, Daniel replied. This time, conversation flowed easily. Emma laughed more. Noah played with the sugar packets. Daniel found himself watching them instead of his phone, noticing how naturally Emma soothed her son, how instinctively she balanced strength and softness. But beneath the warmth, there was tension. Unspoken things always hovered just beneath Emma's words. When Noah spilled juice, her body stiffened slightly, like she expected someone to yell. When a man laughed loudly at another table, her smile faltered for half a second before she caught herself. Daniel noticed everything. They started meeting regularly. Sometimes coffee. Sometimes the park. Sometimes just walking while Noah slept between them in his stroller. Daniel never pushed for labels or explanations. He let the rhythm find its own pace. One evening, as the sky faded into bruised purple, Emma finally spoke. I should tell you something, she said, fingers tightening around the stroller handle. Daniel stopped walking. Okay. She took a breath that shook on the way out. Noah's father isn't in the picture. And it's better that way. Daniel waited. He wasn't kind, she continued quietly. Not to me. Not to Noah. I left when I realized staying would teach my son the wrong kind of love. Daniel felt anger flare in his chest, hot and immediate. He pushed it down. This wasn't about him. You're brave, he said instead. Emma's eyes filled. I don't feel brave. I feel tired. I feel like I'm always one bad day away from failing him. You're not, Daniel said. You're doing everything right. She shook her head. You don't know that. I know this, he replied gently. He's fed. He's safe. And he looks at you like you're his whole world. That broke her. Emma cried then, openly, shoulders trembling as she turned away. Daniel hesitated only a moment before placing a hand on her back, light, respectful, steady. She leaned into it without thinking, like her body recognized safety before her mind did. From that night on, something shifted. Daniel started helping more, not because he felt obligated, but because it felt natural. Groceries. Babysitting while Emma attended job interviews. Fixing small things in her apartment she didn't even remember mentioning. Her apartment was modest, quiet, filled with baby toys and half-packed boxes that had never been fully unpacked after the move. It smelled like detergent and baby lotion. It felt like survival. One night, while Noah slept in the next room, Emma made tea and sat across from Daniel, her expression serious. "You don't have to do all this," she said. "I don't want you to feel trapped." Daniel looked at her for a long moment. "I don't feel trapped," he said. "I feel useful. Wanted." "That's dangerous," she said softly. "People don't stay." "Some do," he replied. "When they're given a reason." She studied him like she was searching for the lie. She didn't find one. Weeks passed. Noah started calling Daniel something that sounded dangerously close to "da." Emma corrected him every time, flustered and apologetic. Daniel never did. Then came the night everything almost fell apart. Emma called Daniel past midnight, her voice shaking. "I'm sorry to wake you. I don't know who else to call." Daniel was already grabbing his keys. At the hospital, Noah lay in a small bed, feverish and weak. Emma stood beside him, eyes hollow with fear. When she saw Daniel, her composure collapsed completely. "I thought I was going to lose him," she sobbed. "I can't do this alone." Daniel wrapped his arms around her, holding her while she cried into his chest, not caring who saw. "You're not alone," he said firmly. "Not anymore." She looked up at him then, really looked at him, like she was seeing him not as help, not as kindness but as something permanent. The realization terrified her. In the days that followed, Emma pulled back. Short replies. Cancelled plans. Emotional walls rebuilding brick by brick. Daniel felt it. The distance. The fear. Finally, he confronted her. "You're pushing me away," he said calmly. "Tell me why." Emma's eyes filled with tears again, but this time she didn't look away. "Because if I let you stay," she whispered, "and you leave, I won't survive that. And neither will Noah." Daniel stepped closer. "Then don't let me leave." She shook her head. "You don't promise forever to people like me." "I do," he said. "If they're worth it." Silence stretched between them, heavy with truth. Emma's defenses crumbled slowly, painfully. "I'm scared," she admitted. "So am I," Daniel said. "But I'm still here." That night, for the first time, Emma let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, her cancelled dreams had been redirected too. And neither of them realized yet that the hardest test was still waiting. The call came on a Tuesday morning, ordinary and cruel in the way life often was. Daniel was halfway through his commute when Emma's name flashed across his screen. He answered immediately, already sensing something was wrong. "He's here," she said, her voice thin and shaking. "Noah's father. He found us." The world seemed to tilt. "Where are you?" Daniel asked. "At the apartment. He won't leave. He keeps saying he has rights." "I'm on my way," Daniel said. "Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone." By the time Daniel arrived, police lights painted the hallway blue and red. Emma sat on the floor inside her apartment, Noah clutched tightly against her chest. Her face was pale, eyes swollen from crying. Daniel knelt in front of her without a word and wrapped his arms around both of them. "I was so careful," Emma whispered. "I changed cities. I changed jobs. I thought we were safe." "You are," Daniel said firmly. "I'm here." The restraining order came quickly, but fear doesn't disappear just because paperwork exists. Emma barely slept for weeks. Every sound outside the apartment made her flinch. Every unknown number sent her heart racing. Daniel stayed. Not every night, not in ways that crossed boundaries too fast, but enough that she knew she didn't have to face the darkness alone. He became a quiet constant, making breakfast, reading bedtime stories, standing between Emma and the world without ever needing to be asked. One night, after Noah had fallen asleep, Emma sat beside Daniel on the couch, her knees pulled to her chest. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You didn't sign up for this." Daniel looked at her, really looked at her, the woman who had survived things that would have broken others, the mother who loved fiercely even when exhausted, the person who had unknowingly healed parts of him he didn't know were wounded. "I did sign up," he said. "The moment I walked back from that cafe door." She smiled faintly. "I was so sure I was invisible that day." "You weren't," he said. "You were just waiting to be seen." Time softened the sharp edges of fear. Noah grew stronger. Emma found steady work. Laughter returned to the apartment, slow at first, then freely. One evening, months later, they returned to the same café. Same windows. Same smell of coffee. Different people. Noah toddled between them, holding Daniel's finger with absolute trust. Emma watched them, her heart full and terrified all at once. "I never planned for this," she said quietly. "You know that, right?" "Neither did I," Daniel replied. "But I can't imagine my life without you now." She stopped walking. Daniel turned to face her, confused, until he saw the tears in her eyes. "I don't want to lose you," she said. "But I also don't want to trap you in a life you didn't choose." Daniel crouched in front of Noah, lifting him gently, then stood and looked Emma straight in the eyes. "I choose this," he said. "I choose you. And I choose him. Every day." Emma broke down then, years of fear and loneliness dissolving into sobs against his chest. Noah laughed, unaware that his world was being stitched back together in that moment. The proposal didn't come with fireworks or crowds. It came one quiet night, after Noah fell asleep, when Daniel knelt in their small living room, hands shaking. "I didn't meet you the way I expected," he said. "But I met you the way I needed. Will you marry me?" Emma said yes through tears, through laughter, through disbelief that life could be this kind after being so cruel. On their wedding day, Noah walked between them, holding both their hands, giggling as if he understood he was the reason two broken paths had crossed. Later, as Daniel watched Emma laugh under warm lights, he thought about the blind date that never happened. If it hadn't been cancelled, if he had left the cafe 5 minutes earlier, if he had ignored a crying child, none of this would exist. Sometimes, the best love stories don't begin with romance. They begin with kindness. And a moment where someone chooses to stay.